Good evening, I'm back. I'm Jack Remington, the Jack Remington NFL channel. Disastrous last week. No video. But I explained it pretty much what happened pregame.com. But we had to leave a day early. And my wife said, we got to leave now because they got a fight waiting for us if we get down there at a certain time. Alright. I'm working on the videos as she's bolting in my office. Hey, we got to go. Alright. She even got some money back somehow. Got a partial refund. Okay. So to save money, the power went out. That's twice this year's happened to me. But here in Southern California where I'm at, the infrastructure's pretty good. You know, we're back in a couple hours. No more than a day I can ever remember. Even with a tornado and everything to hit. But we get on a plane, you gotta turn your phone off. So I get there, well, I still got time. So the next day we get there, that's when the storm hit. It was 4 inches of snow, and that wasn't so bad, but when the rain, sleet, and the winds and snow hit, and ice, the wind knocked the trees down, the power lines, and 240-some-thousand people in like a 100-mile radius was out of power, including us. And we're in the woods, we're in the boonies, a secluded area. No internet. I said, well, how am I going to watch the games? Oh, don't worry, the power will be back on tomorrow. Never came back on. And now, we got no electricity. He's got no generator. My son-in-law's got one now. Oh, our phones died. We couldn't charge the cell phone. I mean, we had no contact with the outside world. That's a pretty scary thing. So he's yelling, with their neighbors are yelling, and, yeah, well, we got a generator. I want to come over here. I don't want to go over to meet these other people. I'm just bad enough going to their new house. They moved just less than 2 months ago. They said, we'll give you a ride downtown. And, yeah, well, he fell. He's got to go to the hospital. Okay, we'll take him. He got chains on his SUV, and they take me to the hospital. So we spent almost a whole day there because everybody's coming in. They're bringing in bodies, hypothermia. And I didn't tell my son-in-law, my daughter, or my wife, or my granddaughter that I saw that. So you won't find my Saturday picks anywhere on pregame.com because I couldn't get online. I couldn't even get online to argue with the guys that were giving me a lot of grief. I couldn't, fight back and harass them or whatever, cause trouble, whatever. When I tell you I lost, I lost. So I lost the Cleveland-Houston game, and I lost the Miami-Kansas City game, straight up. I did win the under. I mean, it was pretty easy under in the Kansas City game. It was so cold. I felt pretty good about that. You won't find it on the spot, on the chart. Okay, what you will find is the next day when I did really well. Okay, we had Green Bay +7. I put Green Bay on the money line. I went over to Green Bay 53. My coup d'etat was that middle I hit. And I had the Rams +3 at Detroit, and we took Detroit on the money line because there were so many tickets coming in on the Rams, 75-25. I mean, it's so lopsided on the Rams. I was afraid. I know I posted something like that on pregame.com that I was so afraid of Detroit. But I thought it was the hardest game to handicap, but it was the best game. But I still think the Rams got weenied. They were putting the cleats in Matthew Stafford's shoulder pads, trying to hit him in the neck, and helmet to helmet. They didn't call it. Holding Poco Nakua didn't call it. The referees looking right at him didn't call it, and a couple other bad calls. But in the end, Detroit won, and Pittsburgh doesn't have T.J. Watt. He's worth 3 points in my opinion. He's that dominant of a player, and because they got to double team and triple team this guy, it frees up someone else and that can make a play. And that's very important in the NFL or any sport. So we're taking the Buffalo Bills. You could theoretically put Pittsburgh on a teaser and a 7-point teaser and get Pittsburgh +17. But if you do that, then you better make a second teaser, and I would knock the 7 points off to a 7-point teaser and get Buffalo -3. Although I've been burned trying to shave a couple points off of a big favorite, and they lost the game outright a couple times on me. So I don't recommend that. But if you're going to do the Pittsburgh +17, have a second teaser and do Buffalo -3. Next game, this is one I've been waiting for. It's the Green Bay Packers. They're at the Dallas Cowboys, and there's 2 out of 3 tickets are coming in on Green Bay at 60-40. Just it's slightly shaded. It's not overweighted, but it's slightly shaded. And I'm taking the Green Bay Packers. And that Jones guy for the Packers plays healthy. They're 5-0. They haven't lost a game with him. That one player on that offense makes that dimension difference. And Dallas is not that good against the run, and their defense looks shaky the last few weeks. Seattle almost beat them at home, and Detroit should have beat them at home, but they hadn't tried to pull that ineligible reporting thing, that debacle there. So Dallas is a little lucky. That one play made a difference between the number 2 seed and number 4 seed. So the seeding is important. Green Bay is a 7th seed, and I'm looking for them to be the first 7th seed to knock off a team. And I hope that the Jimmy Johnson curse is still intact. Ever since they fired Jimmy Johnson back in 1995, I never forgave Jerry Jones, and I want Dallas to never win a Super Bowl ever again. There's always money coming in on the Cowboys. People love to bet the Cowboys no matter how good or bad they are, what the spot is, what the situation is. Doesn't matter. Who's injured, doesn't matter. So the Cowboys are probably the public team in the NFL. Green Bay, last couple of years, not so much. I like them here. I think they got the big coaching advantage with LaFleur over McCarthy. Dallas has got some injuries. Green Bay is getting healthier. And I think Green Bay's on a roll. And Matt LaFleur's going to have the perfect game plan for these Cowboys, overrated Cowboys. Next game is the hardest one to pick. This is the coin flip game. It's the Los Angeles Rams at Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions is a great story. You got Jared Goff, who the Rams got rid of, and the Rams got rid of him for Matthew Stafford, who got him a Super Bowl. So the Los Angeles Rams got the best of that deal, right? So Jared Goff is pissed. He's got something to prove, too. Now, Matthew Stafford coming home to play his former team for 12 years at Detroit. They made the playoffs one time, I believe, and they were up 14-0 against the Cowboys, and they lost somehow. The refs blew that game bigly. And I was at the gym on the treadmill watching that game. I couldn't believe it. Everybody and their grandmother is betting the Rams. It's 75-25. It's very overweighted, heavily on the Rams. Everyone's betting the Rams. They smell blood in the water. Campbell played his tight end in the meaningless game last week, and he got hurt. He's out for the season. He lost a couple other injuries on defense. And the Rams, the second half of the season, they're 7-1, and the one loss was the overtime loss to the Baltimore Ravens at Baltimore. The Rams should have won that game. The Ravens, as good as they've been playing, they couldn't put the Rams away. I'm going to pick the Rams because we pick every game. We don't shy away from any game. But I'm not going to bet this game. I'm going to probably pass. If I take this, I'm going to take the Rams. And it was plus 3.5. Now it's only plus 3. It's got been bet down. But if you want the Lions, it's -3, -115, which tells me something too. Detroit could easily win this game. Well, I shouldn't say easily, but this is a coin flip game. This is the hardest game to pick. I'm looking for a shootout. I like the over in this game. Both teams are going to score because both defenses are a little shaky at times. But Detroit's got the injuries where the Rams are getting healthy. And they got the Aaron Donald. If you start sacking Jared Goff, it's all over. So maybe the public's right on this one too. Next day, I tried one of my middles again with taking Buffalo to money line. We won that. Had 2 money line bets, and I'll put the screens up. I'll put the shots up here. We lost with Pittsburgh plus whatever points they were getting. And we got lucky with the over 40. When Pittsburgh scored our last touchdown in the fourth quarter, that put us over. Buffalo got 21-0 lead. It looked like, okay, I didn't want to lose the over, but we won that. Oh, but the big disappointment was the nighttime game. I was completely wrong about the Philadelphia Eagles, -2.5. Lost that one straight up, and I put Philly on the money line, lost that too. So, our teasers, we won 2 out of 3. We had Green Bay plus 15.5, Rams plus 11.5, easy winner. We lost with Miami plus 11.5 and Detroit plus 3.5. And we won with Green Bay plus 15.5 and Pittsburgh plus 17.5. So that last touchdown was crucial. They were down 21-0. This week, let's talk about this week. Game 1, Houston Texans at Baltimore. Houston Texans plus 9.5. It's a rematch. Ironically, the same spread. It was Baltimore minus 9.5, hosting Houston the very first week. Rookie head coach DeMarco Ryans. Rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud, who's done very well. But I didn't get to watch the Cleveland-Houston game. I couldn't watch the Miami-Kansas City game. So I can't really tell you what I saw. I couldn't watch the games. That changes. I'm home now. I'm watching the games this weekend, come out hot water. I told my wife, don't bug me. Don't bother me. Okay. We're going to take the Houston Texans plus 9.5. I know it's a shocker. And I'm underdog better primarily. I think there's too many points. I think C.J. Stroud's going to show up. Baltimore can be passed on. And here's why I'm really taking this bet. Because Baltimore in this spot, under Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, 1 win and 6 losses against the spread. And they're 2-4 straight up. And they've been trounced twice as the number 1 seed. Buffalo Bills got them when they were 14-2 in a 16-game season. And then the next year, the Tennessee Titans got them. Until I see that Lamar Jackson can do this under pressure, revert back to what I know best, and that's take points and to get from heaven and hope for a close, tight game. which I think we're going to get. The teams that are on this divisional round here, Houston's pass defense is probably the worst. Now, some people would say it's Green Bay, but no, it's Houston Texans. Their defense is not that good. Houston Texans also have used more players, 81 players since the beginning of the season. They've had the second most injuries, and they've had a hard time. Their offensive line intact because Tunsil's their best lineman. He got hurt again. But they still kept winning games, and they won that division, didn't they? They beat my Colts in that last week. I know Harbaugh's a great coach. He's got a Lombardi trophy. Baltimore's done very well. They kicked the shit out of everybody in the real big, important games. They exposed the 49ers. People are still picking the 49ers win it all, but they're overlooking Baltimore. And the tickets here is 65% on Houston and 35% on Baltimore. I'm aware of that. And that's concerning, which I play for middle. I got Texas plus 9.5, and I've got Baltimore on my other bets column. I got Baltimore on the money line. So we'll see. I mean, I got away with the Rams last week, and maybe I'll get away with it here. The next game, Green Bay Packers plus 9.5 at San Francisco 49ers. Okay, I'm taking Green Bay Packers plus 9.5. I'm taking the underdog here. I like what I saw out of Green Bay last week. I predicted Green Bay was going to beat the Dallas Cowboys, and people gave me crap, gave me grief. Well, they ain't giving me grief anymore. And on my other bets, I got Green Bay on the money line. I am picking Green Bay to kick the shit out of the 49ers. And I'm also taking the Green Bay game, this game, over 50. And as of film time, it's up to 51. It's 50.5 for take one. Now it's 51. It's probably going to go higher between now and the game time. They like to bet the over. I get that. Now, well, I know what you're thinking of. What kind of fool are you? You're pushing your luck. You got away with the Rams. Almost got away with the Buffalo game. Now you're going to try this game here? You got lucky they beat the Cowboys last week. Well, no, I'm not lucky. I can see the lack of discipline. I just know that LaFleur is a better coach than McCarthy. Although McCarthy's still a good coach. He's getting a lot of heat. And Dallas is going to retain him because Jerry Jones is too cheap to fire him and bring back Jimmy Johnson. It's different videos that's coming up in a couple days. I'm so mad about hearing about how Dallas Cowboys are so great and that Jimmy Johnson's not that great. Well, I'm going to prove to the world that they're mistaken. So anyway, different video for a different day. But we're taking Green Bay Packers. I think Jordan Love, this is his third year. He's not a rookie. I think he's got almost as equal experience as Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is okay. I'm not bashing him. But he is a caretaker system quarterback under clown Shanahan. Okay? And Matt LaFleur is a better coach than Shanahan. He's going to have coaching in here, I'm telling you. Brock Purdy is a system quarterback, getting more development out of him. They're putting the ball down the field a little bit more. That's good and fine. But Jordan Love's a different breed of cat. And he still has upside. I think Brock Purdy's limited. I just do. I think Jordan Love's bigger and stronger, and I think he's got the better coaching behind him, and he's going to go places. They ran Aaron Rodgers out of town because Aaron Rodgers doesn't play special teams defense. So maybe they got their plug-in savior, so to speak, although I think Aaron Rodgers is still pretty good. But Green Bay's got a couple of injuries I was a little concerned about, but they should be okay. And 49ers got some injuries from a couple weeks ago themselves. So the 49ers are probably a slightly healthier team, but not enough to make a difference. And I'm getting points. And I just think Green Bay's on a roll. And they're the youngest team in the NFL. They're too young to know that they're supposed to lose these games. So we'll see how this works out. But no number 17 has ever won a game until last week. And I picked it. I picked Green Bay. Very few people did. I'm proud of that. Next game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Detroit Lions. I'm still embarrassed. I'm red-faced from the Eagle game. I mean, I told everybody it was the easiest game to pick. The Eagles going to steamroll this. And I even gave a score on. I was so confident in the Eagles that they were going to wake up and just, okay, this is who we really are, and effortlessly beat this Tampa Bay like they beat them once on the Monday Night Football back in Week 3. But guess what? It didn't happen. Tampa Bay was ready for them this time, weren't they? And I should have known. I went against every handicapping variable from experience. They lost both our coordinators beginning of the season. I should have known that these nerd coaches that are unpredictable, they're not the disciplinarians of Bill Belichick, Jimmy Johnson, Vince Lombardi, Mike Ditka, those kind of coaches, Marty Schottenheimer. These nerd coaches are not that way. They're trying to use finesse and they're everybody's friends. And I keep telling people that the two best coaches, the nerd coaches, the guys that are under 60 or 65, and they're in their 30s and 40s, Sean McVay of the Rams and Matt LaFleur of the Green Bay Packers. They're the best two. No question in my mind. And the Shanahan guy's a clown for the 49ers, and they made a mistake by keeping this guy. They should have two Lombardis, especially the first one. They had Kansas City clearly beaten in the first one. I was so still mad about that game. But here in this matchup, Dan Campbell's a great coach in his own right, but he's made some horrible, horrible decisions. And trying to get the 2-point conversion on the 8-yard line, they got a couple penalties on the offense, and he still went for it. But kick the extra point and go and take a chance in overtime. So he lost the seeding. And they're having to exhale. Oh, we're not getting the Eagles. We're getting Tampa. Okay, well, we beat them once 20-6. Detroit was scoring touchdowns and Tampa was kicking field goals. Well, that might change this time. I hate to back Baker Mayfield. I think he's a clown. And he just was so bad when they had Kansas City beating the playoff game with the Browns, and he just melted under pressure. And he's the social justice warrior. We should free all criminals. Really? Really? I mean, he's a chowderhead. He's trying to make himself something that he's not. And I don't like men like that. I just don't. And he had bruised ribs. He's had bruised ribs almost all half the season. So I can think, how good can this guy be? But he looked pretty good against the Eagles. And Tampa was dropping. They dropped at least 4 passes I can remember of. The guy told me next door they dropped 5. So maybe they did drop 5. I was so disgusted with the missed tackling. Their very first touchdown in Tampa got 3-0, looking bleak already. But get the rust off, okay. And Baker Mayfield hit the guy in the open center of the field. He went all the way for the touchdown. He just couldn't tackle him. I thought, we're in trouble. Then he missed another tackle. I thought, geez. I knew I was in trouble in that game. How many times have you seen them miss the infamous tush push, whatever they call it? Well, it was the second time out of 31 tries. The first time, the only time was against the Washington Commanders. The guy was telling me about it. That's when he mishandled the snap. But I know they missed one against the Commanders. And they made every other one. I mean, it's almost impossible to stop. Well, guess what? Tampa stopped them, didn't they? It takes points off the board, which helped me with my under, thank God. So a little redemption there. He takes points off the board to go for that. I mean, the guy's just not with it. And it'll be determined in the next couple of days if they're going to keep Sirianni as coach for the Eagles or not. But anyway, Todd Bowles is an excellent head coach. He was set up to fail with the New York Jets this end of the season. I like what I saw out of Tampa. And they still got the pieces there when Tom Brady won a Super Bowl a couple years ago with Tampa. I know they're in the NFC South. They are the worst division in football. When they play people outside the division, just fade them and you would come out ahead. And I can prove that if I have to. And I hate to give Baker Mayfield any credit. I just don't like the guy. I think he just gave me a bad first, second, third impressions. And it's hard to get over that. But as a handicapper, you must. So I'm taking Tampa Bay plus 6.5. I'm not waiting for it to get to 7. The opening line, it was the longest one to come out with a line was this game here out of the 4 games. So it was off. Then it came out, it was Detroit minus 5. Then it was 5.5. Then it was 6. Now it's 6.5, and it's still. I just checked before I made the video. Just take 3. It's still 6.5. I like Detroit Lions. I'm glad they won their game. I know I had the Lions money line. I know I had the Rams. I mean, plus the points, and that's good to find it. So in a way, it was the perfect middle, the perfect storyline. Detroit, and they set the record level for decibel, 133 dBs or decibels. This Detroit Lions, okay, they won their game that they shouldn't have won. It was clearly the Rams were the better team. They were holding Puka Nacua, didn't call it. The cleats were on Matthew Stafford's neck and his shoulders, and the helmet to helmet, they didn't call it. Roughing the passer, they wouldn't call it. Long story short, this is their exhale game. We didn't get the Philadelphia Eagles. We got Tampa, really, and we beat them 20-6. Oh, okay. Then it's a combination of an exhale and a letdown. That game last week was their Super Bowl. Think about it. They hadn't won a playoff game in 32 years. Pretty long drought. The longest drought in the NFL until they won the game. Yeah, that's good to find, and they're an emotional team. Out of the 8 teams that are remaining, I'm sure they're the most emotional team. That's not good in playoffs. Tampa's pretty workmanship-like, and Todd Bowles, he doesn't say much. And Dan Campbell, he gets excited. His team, follows their leader with that. Not a knock on Detroit Lions, and I like Detroit Lions. And I got a reference. Okay, look what happened in the opening week of the season. It was Detroit Lions at Kansas City, the defending world champion. We had Detroit. Okay, pat myself on the back. Okay, Kansas City jumped out the halftime lead, looking pretty good. Detroit come roaring back and held on, right? Everybody was excited. Oh, Detroit, this is our year, blah, 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 you know. The very next week, home opener, they're hosting Seattle Seahawks. They're a big favorite because Seattle got slonkered at their home by the Rams. And what happened? Seattle kicked the shit out of them, and we lost that game. We had Detroit. I'm using that as part of my reference here. I just think Tampa Bay has an excellent shot, and I still might yet pull the trigger on the money line. They could win this game. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. What's this fool talking about? They could win this game. They could beat Detroit. That's part of the learning curve. I think Tampa's got the experience. I think Tampa's going to cover the spread for sure. And I got Tampa in one of my teasers, and I'm taking Tampa plus 6.5. The last game, Kansas City at Buffalo. On this site, we got 61% of the tickets on Buffalo versus 39% Kansas City. That concerns me that a lot of people are on Buffalo. But on the Sports Insights, it's 51-49, a slight minuscule edge on the Chiefs, which doesn't really mean that much. But the people that I follow on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, personal friends, and some of them are a lot better than I am. I'm straight up front. I mean, they do this for a living. They sell pictures and they do handicapping for a living. They're on pregame.com, wagertalk.com. You think of it, I'm watching the VSIN, wherever it is, and they got some pretty good guys on there, and that are more experienced than I am and have a better track record. And they're all taking Kansas City. Buffalo got 4 guys carted off against Pittsburgh. So I looked at the injury report, and I didn't see anything that's going to make me change my mind. I didn't see Josh Allen getting carted off as out, ruled out. So if they keep their core players, their core offense together, because I'm looking for a shootout here, and I'm pretty sure I got the over in this one too. While I'm thinking about it, in case I'm missing early in the video, other bets. Okay, so the 4 picks that I always promise people, we pick every game against the spread. Okay, and this week we're taking the Texas plus 9.5, Green Bay plus 9.5, Tampa Bay plus 6.5, and the Buffalo Bills minus 2.5. Okay, other bets, we got Baltimore money line, Green Bay money line, Green Bay game over 50, over the Tampa Bay game is 49. I don't know what that is now. Oh, it actually went down. It's 48.5. And we're over the Buffalo game at 45.5, and it's still sitting there at 45.5. I think Josh Allen's better than Patrick Mahomes. I'm just spit it out here. They've been struggling to get past the Chiefs in the playoffs, and I think they're going to do it this time. And 2.5 is not that big a number to lay, and I'm telling you, this year proved it. I think the first 8 times I took 2.5, I lost. And then I started laying 2.5. I may have lost the first 1 or 2, but I won like the next 5. And I saw a chart on this point spread history from the NFL, and I got it bookmarked. It says that it's a slight edge to lay the 2.5, not to take it. It wasn't a small sample size, but I think Kansas City, they're the defending champs. How many teams repeated in this century? 1. And that was in 2003 and 4, the New England Patriots. They're the only ones. A couple of them got close, but no cigar. It's very hard to repeat in the NFL. It just is. And I think that Kansas City's offense is not what it once was. Their defense has vastly improved. This is the best defense I've seen Kansas City in their 5-year dynasty here. A 5-year streak of hosting the AFC title game, but that might get broken this time. But they could still host the AFC title game if they beat Buffalo and Houston beats Baltimore. That's a big ask, but it could happen. So Kansas City would have hosted an AFC Championship Conference game for a 6th time. I mean, they already set the record last year by doing the 5th time. That's impressive to me. So, but Buffalo got a pretty good team. I think Josh Allen, I think he's bigger. I think he's stronger. He's faster than Mahomes. And from 15 yards out, he's the most accurate passer in the NFL the last 2 years in a row. That includes Aaron Rodgers when he was playing for Green Bay last year. So, Josh Allen's a pretty good passer. I know he's a turnover machine. He throws it. Okay. Yeah, he gets a little crazy with the ball sometimes. But you know what? He's still a pretty good damn ball player. And he played with Wyoming for at least 3 years in the hail and sleet and snow. So he's a good cold weather quarterback. Mahomes, not so much. He looked okay, but he didn't look the same like he did a couple years ago. He got nicked up in the Jacksonville game, playoff game. The injuries take its toll on you, especially as a quarterback. And Chris Jones is not the same. That big lineman that the Chiefs have been relying on. He's doing okay, but he had to go all out and wait for a certain spot to get his bonus, to get his $1 million bonus. I'm glad he got it. But he doesn't have a sack since then, does he? How effective is he going to be? Myles Garrett supposedly was playing hurt in the game against Houston when the Cleveland got killed the other week. So, when the linemen are hurt or they're playing hurt, they're not going to get the sacks. And Josh Allen is good enough to avoid the sacks. I just think that Buffalo got the better coach. I know I shouldn't bash Andy Reid too much. He's got 2 Lombardis. But I still think that Buffalo's got the better coach and coaching staff. And they're determined. And since week 12, it's been a playoff game. And Buffalo's met the challenge every time. They look a little sloppy at times and didn't always cover. I know they didn't cover against the Patriots. They didn't cover against the Chargers. But they've covered everywhere else. I mean, I think Buffalo's going to do it. And that's it. So I'm just going to go over the bets one last time to close this out. Oh, and before I get going, the last 56 Super Bowls, the number 1 seeds meet in the Super Bowl. Okay, they did it last year. The number 1 seed was Philadelphia Eagles. The number 1 seed was the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, but before that game last year, it was a long, long dry spell. Okay, so it's happened. And in the early 1980s, it happened 3 times in a row. And in the 70s a couple times, in the 60s a few times. But the last 56 years, last 56 Super Bowls, the number 1 seeds met only 13 times. That's 23%. So I'm betting against these number 1 seeds in a way. Now I got Baltimore on the money line, I understand that, but I'm not taking the 49 on the money line. One of these teams is going to get beat, in my opinion. So which is it? Or both of them? So which one, in my mind, has got the better chance of getting beat? 49ers. I think Green Bay's on fire. And Green Bay's got something. Matt LaFleur's a great coach, and he's going to prove to the world that. And you got it. Oh, while I got, it just hit me again. My research didn't take 1. I forgot it in take 2. In take 1, the Green Bay Packers, they were the number 4 seed in 2016, and they lost. Number 2 seed in 2019. They were number 1 seed in 2020, and number 1 seed in 2021. Lost to 49ers, the game that we picked with Troy Aikman, special teams play. So. And that was the only dog to cover that week. Okay, the majority of those players from the last 3 years, when Green Bay was still the number 1 seed, are on this team right now. Okay, they don't have Aaron Rodgers. Okay, but most of the other players are still on that team. The futures beginning of the season, I had a futures video. We took Green Bay over 7.5, and thank God they won it for us. Okay, because the nucleus of the core of the players is still there. I just think they're going to beat the 49ers. I just think they're going to beat their ass. And Brock Purdy's, he's just not proven to me yet. I just want to see it. And with Jordan Love, I saw something that I think is more dynamic. He's not a caretaker quarterback, and it's a quarterback-driven league. I understand all that, but that's it. I'm sticking to my guns. So I'm betting against the number 1 seeds. Although I am going to hedge my bet to try to get the middle of Baltimore. Baltimore is very talented. Baltimore is very good, but I want to see it from Lamar Jackson first. I want to see it. Haven't seen it yet in the postseason. Maybe they'll destroy everybody and win it all. Who knows? So that's it. I went over the teasers against the spread and the other bets. Thank you, players. Always a great day to be an American. Long live the NFL, the greatest team sport of all time. There will never be another team sport like the NFL, where coaching is the most important. And I got another video I'm working on about the Dallas Cowboys, the Jimmy Johnson saga. You can hear from the Dallas Cowboy players yourself. That backs up my philosophy here. So thank you, players. Enjoy the games. See you next video. Thank you.